All right, good afternoon, everybody. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Gary. I'm Gary Cantwell with Yuba County Environmental Health. And if you guys would like, take a second to stand up and stretch. I know I needed it. All right. So rather than repeating word for word what Zoraida mentioned, essentially every CUPA is going to do their inspection about the same way. You know, we heard the technical way from Sean. We heard the right way from San Diego County. Well, I'm going to present the Yuba County way. So I'm not actually going to go through the same way. I'm going to have you guys close your eyes for a second and suspend reality and pretend that you have won the lottery. A couple $1 million in your bucks, in your pockets. Now, let's pretend that you want to invest that money and you decide to invest in a gas station. Why would you do that? I don't know. Apparently, you got talked into it by some cousin. Who knows? So that's what I am going to present to you as new UST station owners, is what you need to do to be in compliance. So what you can expect when I come and do your inspection, okay? So since I don't like to do a lot of work, I want you to be in compliance. When I do my report 6 to Terry Snyder of the Water Board, I want to have 20 inspections, 20 with no violations. It's just going to be easier for me to look that stuff up and get onto a report for him. So it's essentially just two things that you're doing. To be in compliance, you got to have your testings and your inspections taken care of. You need to have your documentation taken care of. And I'm here to help you. I want to help you do this. I want you to get it done right. Okay? So I'm going to cover everything on that slide one at a time here. Well, most of it. So, testing and inspection. Can you guys hear me in the back? Am I okay? Okay. Testing and inspection. Looks very similar to what we saw on the last slide as far as a inspection site. So what's going to happen, I was going to pull up in my 4x4 pickup truck. I'm going to slide out, kick some cones over, and I'm going to take some names. We're cowboys up north. It's all right. All right, so I'm going to show up, and come on, guys. I'm told when the inspection is. The contractor that you have hired calls me and sets up the date to come out and do the inspection. So you know when I'm going to show up. It's not a big surprise. So there should be no violations when I show up, right? Right? All right. So I'm going to do this once a year, okay? They're going to call me up. I want to come out, and I'm going to look at everything at your station. The contractor is going to test all the functionality of your system, okay? So, like I said earlier, we want to do this at the same time because I will have the contractor charge you again for me to come back out again, and that's on you, okay? Stuff I'm going to look for, I'm going to make sure that stuff's where it belongs. I'm going to make sure the stuff that is belonging there is working properly. So one of the things we're going to test is your spill buckets. I'm going to have them go ahead and just put some water in it for me, okay? Now, your spill buckets are 5 gallons, which means they need to hold 5 gallons, which means that if I show up and there's already liquid in there that the contractor didn't put in, you are in violation, okay? Which means that your spill bucket no longer holds 5 gallons. And the reason these are important is because over the years, through tank removals, they have found that a lot of the contamination at tank sites came from overfill. So this is going to catch that last bit of fuel that's coming out of the tank from the trucker that he wants to get rid of, okay? So please keep these clean so that if he decides to get the last 5 gallons out of his hose, it's going to go into your bucket and not into the ground. If one happens to fail while we're there, it's okay. That's what we're here for. We're testing the functionality. So if it is failing, we can get it fixed. You just have to come back in, we'll get a permit, we'll get it out, the contractor will come, he'll fix it, and we'll get it retested. One of the other tests that you're going to have done is your SB 989 testing. This is your secondary containment testing. This has to be done every 3 years, okay? So you're going to hire this company, come on out, and he's going to test the functionality of your secondary containment. And again, it's a test. If it fails, that's okay, because we can get it repaired and retested. Now then, for those of you that were foolish enough to buy a single wall component tank, I've got more stuff for you to do. Another one, every 3 years, you have to do cathodic protection testing. So you have to hire another company to come out and test the cathodic protection components that are testing any kind of steel single wall components that you might have at your station. You also need to do at least a 0.2 gallon per hour leak test. If your monitor cannot perform a 0.2 gallon per hour leak test, you need to hire somebody to come out and do a 0.1 at least annually, okay? And again, another one is if you have a single wall tank, you do need to have a lining test. And if you haven't done it yet, since it was 10 years ago, you are now in violation. If you had it done since 10 years, you have 5 years from your 10-year spot to get it done now every 5 years. And of course, that will require another permit. Okay, so now that I'm here, this is what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to come out every year. I'm going to do it with the monitoring cert. Like I said, I'm going to test to make sure. I'm going to check to make sure everything's working right. You know, not a big deal. Nothing to be scared of. I want to make sure that you're not messing with any of the sensors. You know, if for some reason you had something go into a sump and you've put it in the alarm log and you have then done a repair log because you had some kind of fix that alarm, I need to see that documentation, okay? I'm going to look for any kind of liquid in there. I'm going to look to see if you did make that fix, you did put that sensor back into that sump. And I'll make sure you have all your paperwork. So, this is what a turbine sump should look like. Okay? You have down in here your sensor in that shaded area. And we know that's a turbine sump because of the turbine right here on top. How kind of a funny joke from my boss who said we're testing turbines. And he goes, what do you mean, you're testing the ending guys down in there doing the pumping of the work? We're like, no, we're not testing those turbines. We're testing the sump pumps that are providing the fuel to the tanks, from the tanks. So, however, not every one of them is going to be perfect when you get there. And again, you guys knew I was coming. You couldn't have gotten taken care of this before I got here. Well, since you didn't get this taken care of, now we're going to have to do some type of enforcement on you. This one here, there's sump in the liquid. Maybe there's not enough liquid in that sump to cause that alarm to go into alarm, that sensor to go into alarm. Or it could be, I know we've all seen it, the contractor goes ahead, puts it in the water. Oh, there it goes, now it works. Doesn't say you can't do it, and it says that it does work now, so there you go. But yeah, so apparently not enough water in this sump to make the alarm go off. Now, this is the holy grail of turbine sumps. Look at that, Spotless. So clean, you could actually eat off of it. Not that I would, but you could. That's actually year 2 because that's what it looked like the year before. So yeah, this guy here, he actually went and got inside his sump and cleaned it out. I mean, he got in there, he got probably some simple green and scrubbed it up, and it looks great, and he keeps it up every year. It's pretty nice. But yeah, that was the year before. All right, so here's a spill bucket. Again, there is debris and some liquid in there, meaning that your spill bucket does not have 5 gallons of capacity. I need you to make sure on your daily inspections, because you will have a log, to check this out and make sure it's clean. Now, I don't want you to take a rag, wipe it out, and wring it out right next to your tank. I want you to not take the same rag and rinse it out in your sink. I'd like for you to take that rag or that bucket and dump that water into a hazardous waste drum. Because I don't expect you to get it tested, I just expect you to get rid of it as a hazardous waste. So this is what it should look like. Maybe a couple drops of condensation down there. Nothing that a little paper towel can't take care of. All right. One of the things you're going to have to hire in addition to a contractor is a designated operator. He or she will come in monthly and review your monitor. Essentially what he's going to do, or she's going to do, is going to come in, take a look to see if there's been any kind of alarms at your station. See if your station is currently in alarm. They're going to fill out a form. That form will also mention when your next monitoring cert is, when your next 989 testing is done. It also includes your air tests and cathodic protection tests, any other kind of tests that they might mention in there for you. Now, it's important as a station owner to review this form. It is not your designated operator's job to correct all these corrections unless you hire this person to do that for you. Oftentimes what they're going to do is they're going to come, take care of that alarm, write it down, or document that there was an alarm, and just let you go on your merry way. You won't always be told that, hey, you need to schedule a new inspection, or hey, you need to get this fixed. Okay, so be careful with that. Now, he will give you annual training, so be ready for that. Most of you will have some kind of daily inspection log, probably given to you by air quality. Air quality, they care what goes up, we care what goes down. So you can probably use that same one, or you can use the one that we will have provided you, which will include some of these other stuff. So you're going to look for this liquid in your spill buckets. You're going to check to see if your monitor is going off. Yeah, you got to look at these kind of things. You got to verify that there's paper in your monitor, okay? And then please use the logs that are provided. All right, so that's kind of what you expect at an inspection. Now we're going to talk about the forms and all the documentation that you as station owners need to take care of. It might seem like a lot, but it's not. Okay? Most of the stuff I have on the computer, I can fill out for you and with you, and that way we can have a constant record of it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to have a monitoring response plan. So in addition to doing this monitoring response plan, it also needs to be signed and approved by us, okay? So I want you to take this binder that I'm going to make you, keep it on site somewhere, and use it, okay? Don't just use it for whenever I show up and you say, oh, well, here's the binder you made me. Actually use it, you know, when you get the reports from the companies. Take a 3-hole punch and hole punch the thing and put it in the binder. Don't just stuff them in the front little flap. Oh, man. Because this plan covers a lot of stuff, okay? It's going to cover what training and how often your training is going to be and who's going to do that training, which will be your designated operator. It's going to include the sensors. Good ones will actually have the serial numbers of those sensors. Okay, you can get those from the a contractor who does a monitoring cert. Just have them take the serial numbers off and write them down for you, and you can put them in that plan. Now, however, if next year you do have a sensor fail, we'll just have to replace that number. No problem, no problem. That was my last class. Emergency response. You know, you got to have an emergency response class also. Response plan. This is what's going to happen in case you have some kind of release at your gas station. This is a little bit different than the monitoring plan because the monitoring plan deals with the tanks and piping and UDCs. Emergency response plan deals with what you as business owners are going to do, how you're going to react and respond to an emergency and a release. And I'd like it for you to keep this also in that same binder. All right, financial responsibility. Please update this. Please do this. I get tired of writing you guys up every year for this. You aren't carrying your own insurance. All I have to know is that you have $5,000 to cover in case you have a release. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's all I need. Do it before I come. Again, you know when I'm coming, so you know when to fill out this form. Make sure you have it on file every year, because this is your proof of insurance, essentially. So if you have a release and the State Water Board says, hey, you don't have anything on file, don't come crying to me, okay? So I mentioned this already. Again, just notice on the bottom, the DOs note issues, but are not necessarily responsible for fixing those problems, okay? Oh, logs, logs, and more logs. Please use your logs. This is the proof that you are doing more than just pushing the buttons on the cash register, okay? This lets me know that yes, when an alarm went off, you took care of it, okay? So, use the alarm log. Write in when that alarm was. Write in what alarm went off. Even write in who responded to that alarm and what time that alarm went off. Sometimes the alarm might just go off by itself and fix itself. Then you might have to have someone come in and take a look at that alarm. And that leads me to the maintenance log. If for some reason you had to call your company in to make a fix, document that on your maintenance log. Same thing. When did they come in? Who came in? What did they fix? All the stuff that's in this log that I have provided for you, just fill in all the blanks. And your spill and leak log. Again, if you have a drive off, if you have a tanker truck put 7 gallons in your tank and your overfill, you need to document that, okay? And you are also required to report that to us if it is significant. You ask, what is significant? What is significant? That is up to you. If for some reason I show up and I find out that you had a release and I find that it's significant, you get in trouble, and that's the end of it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're done. Yep, there it is. "42 gallons is a misnomer. That's the only required number that's recognized, and that's on highway only. That's CHP's number. So like I said, it's significant. If you had 5 guys out there cleaning up this mess, probably significant. If it was just a overflow top off and you just went out and put some dry sweep down, probably not significant. But you know what? I'd still want to see it on your spill and leak log. See, I mentioned visual logs already. Just check to make sure everything's clean. Yeah, most of that's BPH. Tank form A. So now we're getting to your forms. This is your facility form. This tells me about who owns the place, who's running the place, and the fact that I want to get your BOE number. I'm going to get your tax number, so I need to know that stuff. Tank form B. This tells me about the tank. This tells me what's in the tank. This tells me what kind of tank it is, whether it's double wall, single wall. If it has single wall, double wall piping, it's going to tell me about the risers and all the other piping. It's going to tell me about the UDCs. Also, should be kept in the binder. And you need one of those for each one of the different tanks that you have, by the way. Tank form C, not as important, but if you have some kind of modification completed where you're adding a new tank or you're putting in a new line, we need to get one of these tank form C's completed. Designated operator statement. This is the statement that says that yes, I've hired Joe Snuffy Contracting Company to be my designated operator. Please keep this on site and please update this whenever you decide to hire somebody cheaper. Okay, so when should you update these forms? Well, you should update them whenever changes occur, of course. I mean, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you hire a new designated operator, you need to update the forms. If you want to switch from mid-grade to diesel, we need to complete the new forms. And with that will be a new change of fee modification, and it will be a change of permit modification, and probably, or don't probably, definitely some new tank forms. Keep your test reports. Keep them on site. Like I said, use the 3-hole punch that's sitting out there and use it, okay? Don't just take the forms and stuff them in the front and then expect me to figure it out when I come back next year, okay? You want to keep 3 years of testing reports there. That's going to include your designated operator reports. That's going to include all the testing reports and all the maintenance reports. You can use those same reports now to match it up with the maintenance inventories, okay? So if you have a maintenance log that you're using, which you're supposed to have, you can now take these same maintenance inventories that the company has given to you, and now we can match them up. I can see that Company X has come and fixed this problem with your tank. Training. Your designated operator is going to train you annually. There needs to be some kind of documentation in the binder. Standard stuff, who was there, what you trained on, what the date was, and the signature of the trainer. You also need an owner-operator agreement. This is going to tell me who the owner is, who the operator is, and that you guys are agreeing that this is who this is. Sometimes you can have lease information in here too. So if you are not the sole owner of the station and you are just renting the store from a property owner, we can take that information too. So, annual review. You should review this stuff annually. Good time to do it is in January when it's kind of slow for everybody else. You definitely want to do it before I come and do my inspection. And again, you know when I'm coming because you've been told. All right, so stuff to review, just the common stuff that might change. If you get a new cell phone, make a new cell phone number change. If you got rid of a cashier who was like your main person, make the new changes. Complete that financial responsibility paperwork. And remember, I need signatures on all this stuff, okay? So even though you might have made the changes and you might have documented the changes, unless it's signed and returned to me, I don't know if the changes were completed.